Reddit asks Redditors who were previously in a coma, what is the experience like? Ever wondered what it felt like to be in a coma? Well, Reddit has asked the same question, and a mix of Redditors who've experienced it have answered. But first, subscribe to Starplace Production and hit the bell icon for related updates. Also, give us a thumbs up. Redditors who were previously in a coma, what is the experience like? TKJ Alita. It was weird, I guess is the best way to describe it. I woke up with retrograde amnesia, so I didn't remember anything from before. I remember waking up quite clearly though, especially when my family came in to see me. They all rushed in, tears streaming down their faces, hugging me. All I could think was, who are these people? I had a massive panic moment when I realized I didn't know who I was. 0 over 10 would not do again. Rodneybasher. I was in a coma for 2 days. I remember nothing. It took about 2 weeks for me to recognize my surroundings and start talking again. Months and months for my memory and communication to come back to a level inferior to before. I lost huge amounts of memory from the years before the coma. The older my memories, the less affected they were. My memory is still kinda shot 5 years later. Really experience, especially for my family. Money Lee replied, was in a coma for 3 days from boxing. Similar post-recovery as you. Hopefully your memory improves. My incident happened in 2000. I was 17. I'm now 37. Quite forgetful, but you manage it. And I found you can improve it by reading books. Slim Dave V1 replied, bro, I was in the same place you are. Stay strong and keep believing. My memories came back pretty much 20 years to the day of it happening. I know that sounds like a long time, but it was nice. Sodwa Wabantu. Kinda weird. My coma was a few days, but I woke up with memories of the past week really jumbled. And to this day, I can't tell what was real and what I imagined from people telling me. Plus, I woke up on a breathing tube, and that was the day I learned what it felt like to deep throat someone. Edit. I woke up from the coma but was still on anesthesia for a while. So the moment I woke up, I saw my entire family around me in tears, and me being unaware I was in a hospital. Assumed I was still watching TV with my mom and trying to be funny. My first words to her were, who died? The Pud Pud returns. I was in a coma about 8 years ago. It lasted 5 weeks. All I remember was having really crazy but very real dreams. One I remember was having a bee's nest in my chest and doctors trying to coax them out with honey. As I said, it was crazy, but it was so real. Also, I had dreams that mixed with things that were going on in real life. For example, my dad would come in every day and read his newspaper to me. I must have been taking it in, as I would dream about some of the events as I was there. First Vice. Was in a coma for a little over a day. Don't remember 10 days in all. It was like a blink. 30 seconds before the wreck, then this guy was in a wheelchair talking to me about something. The only things I knew for sure was that I was married, I was in the Air Force, and I hurt all over. I guess I looked confused because the guy stopped and changed his tone. He suddenly sounded like he was bored, answering questions he had already been over a dozen times. Then news was bad. You're in Almendorf AFB hospital. Your wife is downstairs. You were in the wreck and your daughter was killed. I don't speak much of our daughter. It hurts too much. It is a wound I cannot seem to heal. My recovery has taken years. I lost a portion of my left frontal and temporal lobes. I had mood control and anger issues. I also have a speech problem remembering nouns. I switch names of things being discussed without realizing it. Or I forget the name of something entirely. I don't introduce my wife to people because it is very embarrassing to forget the name of the woman you love, heart, and soul. I have a form of epilepsy that manifests as pain, along with some very strange sensations. But I have a loving wife, have raised 2 children, and had a satisfying career. But I still deal with a disability every day. Pastries icing maker. TLDR. If you have a loved one that is comatose, give them ice chips. They're f***ing parched. It was weird. I was sort of aware that time was passing, but I had no idea how much. I was 9 when it happened. I was out for a couple days. Part of it was like an out-of-body experience. I saw myself on the table in the ER, surrounded by people in scrubs working on me, prepping me for surgery, all doing their thing. It was like I was looking down from the ceiling, and I remember thinking that I knew the kid on the table, but not how. Until they cut my clothes off, I saw a scar and realized it was me. I remember hearing people talk to me, but not knowing who it was and not being able to get my body to respond. While I was in the ICU, the kid in the bed next to me died. He hit his head in the exact place I did, but he fell off his bike. I fell 100 feet. It was another out-of-body thing. I was looking at both of us from across the room. I couldn't figure out why these people were so sad and being thirsty. Oh, so thirsty. The first clear memory I have of my life is waking up in the ICU 2 days after my accident. When I opened my eyes, I was blinded by the light over me. The sounds of the machines was so loud it was unbearable. My body felt heavy and my head was killing me. Think about the worst hangover ever and multiply it by 100. Oh, and I was restrained. Definitely not panic-inducing. The only people I recognized were my parents, but I wasn't sure who they were to me. According to the doctors, the fact that I could walk, talk, and wipe my ass was surprising. They weren't sure if I'd wake up, and they didn't expect me to be functional if I did. Crazy Case 707. Another question for you guys. Do you have dreams when you're in a coma? Krusty Butts 132 replied, I was in a coma for 2.5 weeks. My dreams were actually my brain listening to my loved ones around me talk. People in comas can really hear you. I'll never forget this, but my uncle apparently visited me and told me if or when I'd make it out of the hospital, I should ask my parents for a cat or a dog, or both. I would have no way of knowing what was actually said since I was unconscious. But I told my parents about it later, only to find it was true, as my uncle left me books about different breeds on both cats and dogs. I had a bunch of other dreams too, based on what was happening around my body. Mold ruin. Take this with a grain of salt, as it didn't happen to me. I heard it from a third party, and later on was confirmed by the comatose person. This guy was run over by a semi, and still has a gruesome scar from neck to groin. It's insane. A friend of him paid to have him in a good hospital instead of a public one where he would have surely died. Apparently, he was able to hear everything going on around him. He heard his mom saying she wished he had died on the accident instead on being put in a coma. I don't think he ever forgave her for that. He remembers the friend that was footing the bill coming over and reading to him, and most importantly, in his words, playing music for him. He would show him the latest on their favorite band, and to the weird, unbelievable part is that he supposedly woke up while listening to this band. I find that hard to believe, but the guy is adamant that that is exactly how it went down, so I don't know. I just know I'd go read to a comatose friend. I guess they really are semi-aware of their surroundings. Do you have a similar experience? Share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear. Also, subscribe to Starface Productions and the bell icon as well for more Reddit updates. Don't forget to leave a like. See you around!